The next section will be handled by Miss Geeta Polmani, ma'am. It is my distinguished pleasure to introduce Miss Geeta Polmani, a visionary leader and esteemed figure in the realm of digital transformation and lean agile coaching. As a founder of Vishwavidya IT and business consulting firm based in Tamil Nadu, Ms. Polmani has dedicated her career to driving innovation, empowering businesses, and fostering growth in the ever-evolving landscape of technology and management. I welcome you, ma'am, for starting your section.
This is the Google Meet. Yeah. I don't see anything. I'll do somebody on the Google Meet also. Are people joining from the Google Meet as well? Okay.
Live telecast in the presentation.
Oh.
So we need to.
Oh. Can I have a hand mic so that I can keep moving around? Good morning, everybody. How many of you are researchers here? Only so many? Okay, what are the other profiles? I mean, what do you do? I'm asking. You are a developer. Okay, so you think you are not a researcher. Okay. Uh, okay. And anyone else? Okay, we have developers, we have researchers. Who else is here? What other profiles are here? Hmm? Any business analyst here? No? All of you are developers? What brings you here to this conference? Huh? In linguistics. Ah, okay. Very interesting. Welcome. Uh, because I didn't expect linguists in a conference like this where we will be talking about technology. What makes it interesting for you? Computa- Computational linguist. Okay, very interesting. And you also consider you're not a researcher, don't you? Then you are a researcher. How can you say you're not a researcher? Oh my God. I think we should define what does researcher mean. Anybody who is conducting experiments to discover or invent something is a researcher. So now you tell me, a developer is not a researcher? Every program you write, you think it will satisfy your users. You have a hypothesis in mind. This particular functionality is going to be useful for my user, and you're developing a product, and you go test it, and you realize, oh, my users don't like it, or they love it, right? So you are a researcher. So you should start recognizing the researcher in you. Okay. So this talk mainly is aimed at researchers, but of course, some little bit relevance for um, developers also. Okay. Okay, I don't like the color combination, but please bear with me. Hope you will be able to read what I have written there. Okay. I chose this topic that change is inevitable, but growth is optional on purpose, right? India, all of us know that we became independent from British rule in 1947. People who are good in math, you can tell me how many years we have lived independent life in India. Anybody? 77 years we are independent, right? So when we look back on what we have achieved as a country in 77 years, a lot of it makes us really, really proud. So we will see in the first part of my lecture. And then we will see what lies ahead of us. 77 years, we have stood in the shoulders of our ancestors who fought for our freedom and brought us independence. And also some of our leaders in the past, in the present, both in political world as well as in citizenship, as industrialists, as academicians, people have worked really, really hard to make us come to this far. And you all, as the next generation leaders, you have super important responsibility on your shoulders. I am here to talk about those responsibilities and what happens if we don't do it. Okay? That's going to be the content of my lecture today. And of course, this conference is about AI. So I will be talking a little bit about the influence of AI on us as developers, as researchers, as academicians, as citizens. What is AI going to do to all of us? How can we be prepared? Otherwise, what may happen to us, right? That's what I'm going to talk about today. My name is Geeta Palmani, and they have introduced me already. And my professor, Dr. Vivekanandan Suresh Kumar, he also co-authored this talk along with me. He is an AI expert. He did his PhD in AI in 1990. So we worked together for this presentation. So I am very happy to introduce him also to all of you. So I'm going to talk about 4 E's: expansion, education, equity, and excellence. In all four dimensions, how India has moved along. Okay. You see the first row that talks about 1947, how we were. Okay. The second row talks about how we are today. When I say today, it may not be exactly 2024. Some information was available only for 2022. All of it comes from data.government.in, which is India's statistical institution. It collects information from all different fields, and it summarizes and has beautiful dashboards which you can use, right? So in 1947, when we became independent, we were able to produce only 50.83 million tons of food. Okay. And we had a lot of famine death as well. In spite of having only 30 crores people and having close to 60 million, sorry, not 60, 51 million food production, we had famine death. And today we have 309 million tons of food produced. Almost 6 times we have increased. And of course, our population increased to 150, right? 5 times we have increased. Despite that, we don't have any famine deaths. I mean, of course, here and there is some death due to poverty driven, have any famine deaths. I mean, of course, here and there is, I mean, hunger, but otherwise we don't have lakhs and lakhs of people dying out of famine and lack of food. Okay. And GDP of India, it was 40 billion US dollar way back in 1947. That has grown. See the number, right? It is 4 digits now. It was just 2 digits then. 4,112 billions US dollar. That is our GDP currently. Okay. And roads, we had only 4 lakhs kilometers. And today you see it is 63.5 lakhs kilometers. And this does not include the roads within the villages. Okay, I'm talking about only the highways that are there within the country. And that much of infrastructure has improved. And our literacy rate from 12%, it has improved to 76.32. And of course, I'm talking to a state where literacy rate is 100%. Of course, there are other states that is pulling us down. Nevertheless, look at the improvement from 12 percentage to 76 percentage. Yeah? And life expectancy. It has increased from 41 to 70. No more stepmother, stepfather kind of stories, right? When I was a child, people used to tell us, oh, amma appa irundanga, amma passed away, so appa married chitti and chitti harassed all the children. That used to be a common folklore story, right? Not anymore. uh, Children mortality has gone away, and women dying during maternity, that has gone away, almost gone away, right? And polio, that has gone away. So our life expectancy and our quality of life has increased really, really very well. Okay, so I think we should be really proud of that. And look at the way we have expanded our education. We had 800 colleges, only 800 colleges for all of India. Today, we have 50,000 colleges across India. And universities, we had just 21 universities. Today, we have 1270 universities. And we do have, see, GER is a fancy term used for understanding how many people get enrolled in higher education. Okay, what's the percentage of people who get enrolled out of 100 people that are there in that age group? How many people are joining higher education? That's what is meant by GER. We had only 3.97, barely 4 people out of 100 people joined higher education. Please remember, undergraduation is considered as higher education. Okay, and we didn't have any PhDs, or we had PhDs, but we didn't have a track of them, and how many PhDs were there was not very clear. We think it is less than 100 people, 100 PhDs were there. This is in spite of India having its first PhD in 1800s. Okay, despite that, we had only about 100 PhDs. Today we have how many? Okay, 6 lakhs 14,000 PhDs today. Okay, that's again a great improvement. And Indian students go to other countries for studies. You are seeing it today also. There is a big, um, I can't think of a right word, but there is a craving in people's mind that, okay, if there is a chance, I will go study in some other country and settle there, right? That's the thinking that is there in many of our minds. But what we don't know is there are 170 countries. Remember, there are only 196 countries in the world. So only 26 other countries are not coming to India yet. Okay, so we will get there. When I did a similar talk to another university way back in 2018, we had only 153 countries coming to us. Okay, so now in 5 years, the figure has gone from 153 to 170. Equity is how many of you understand the term equity? I'm not talking about the term equity used in stock market. Okay, I'm talking about equality for everybody, right? Women were oppressed earlier. Before independence, women didn't have ability to go to school, right? So now I'm very happy to see a lot of women here, right? And on the dais as well. So women were not able to do, and certain religions, people were not able to participate in education, and certain communities, caste and based on which villages or which mountains they come from, they were not able to participate in education. We have broken all those barriers. Okay, remember, only 800 colleges were there when we became independent. Now we have colleges in rural areas, so that people who do not have enough economical support are not prevented from education. So if you look at it, 60 percentage of our colleges are in rural area. That enables a lot of different people who would not have had opportunity to study, right? And 18 open universities are there, and you may be wondering, okay, so what, right? There are people who would have loved to study, but then they had to start working. to provide for their family, to provide for their society, or whatever reasons, right? Or due to health reasons, and many other possibilities, right? Maybe they got married and they were not allowed to study. There are a lot of segments of the society which were prevented from studying. So these 18 open universities, they support them. And there are 17 women's only universities, because we are still, I mean, of course, 77 years have gone and we are talking about empowering women in IT and empowering women in all science and technology, etc. But still, there are families who wouldn't want their women to go to a co-education place, right? That is still a reality. How do we support them? So there are 17 women's only universities across India, and two of them are in Tamil Nadu. Okay? And I think one is in Kerala. And colleges for women, women's only colleges, it is 10.75%. And there are a lot of initiatives to include differently abled people. I came to know that ICFOSS has a setup for uh, visually challenged people, right? And they are doing a lot of work for visually challenged people in Kerala. And Dr. Rajiv was keen to expand it to other states as well, right? So we are making progress into bringing in people who were denied into this. Okay. Excellence is the fourth E I would like to talk about, where we have expanded. We have become a lot better, and we are becoming better. We still have a long way to go. coming out of Indian Institute of Technology, all of them put together is 89.8. Their citation is 13.294. Many of you researchers, you know how important is a citation, right? Citation again is a fancy term of referring to how many people read your article. Okay. So we produce so many articles and nobody reads them. Those of you who cook, when you cook, you serve something on the plate and nobody eats it. Okay. And those of you who dance or who act, you do a performance, fantastic performance, nobody watches you. I mean, of course, the act of dancing gives you some pleasure, but when you are doing it for fanfare, how does it feel? Right? It's exactly the same. Okay. Morocco, who is the oldest nation, their age is 55. Okay. So if we don't produce employability, if we don't become employable, what happens to people who are in that employable age? See, there are only two opportunities, right? You become an employer or you become an employee. Of course, there is the third dimension, which is academicians. And that's a limited opportunity area, right? So where are we heading? What are we going to do? That's a question I'm actually putting a challenge to all of you. As youngsters, you have this big responsibility. I mean, there are people who are not educated, but you're all educated. If you come to a conference like this, obviously it means your intelligence level is far higher than many other people in India, right? So, as intellects, what are you going to do? How are you going to solve this problem? Okay. Look at the patents. This is just in 1 year, okay? in 2022 alone. This is coming from World IP Organization's data, not my data. Of course, India's number of patents filed by Indians and achieved by Indians is increasing, has increased tremendously in the last 20 years, right? 2000 data and today's data, if you compare, there is a steep rise. In fact, we had the biggest rise in 2022, 25.2 percentage more patents compared to 2021. 25.2 percentage rise is not an easy thing, right? But still, it is not even 1/4 of what is China doing. That's why I'm calling this as a Red Queen's race. Maybe worse. In Red Queen's race, if you run, you get to retain your position. But here we are not even retaining our position, right? It's not about a position as well, right? It's about survival. How are we going to survive as a nation? How are we going to thrive as a nation? See, India is the country, I mean, all of us would have read this when we were in school, right? India is the country who introduced zero to the world. India still has buildings that were built some 2000, 3000 years back. They are functioning, they are serving the same purpose today. That means we were awesome in engineering. If we were awesome in engineering, obviously we were really super good in science and technology. Without that, you cannot have such engineering marvels, right? In such a country, we are producing so much patents. See, what comes out of a research? It should be paper publications, it should be patents, it should be startups. I'm just considering these three parameters. And it should bring about social change. Anything we do is for a social change, isn't it? So, how are we going to take that responsibility in our hands? It's very easy to go get a PhD thesis done by a shop. There are shops today, right? And now with our Gemini God, the Google Bard, right? Google Bard is renamed as Gemini. With Gemini God with us, Google God with us, we don't have to do anything. You just go ask a question and that can write your thesis for you. That's not a big deal. A researcher is responsible for bringing in social change. So if we don't do this, what are we going to do? How are we going to safeguard our nation? See, remember it is 28.2 years is our average age. So if we don't create employability, if we don't create employable people, this can result in national unrest, civil unrest. So it's not just an academic question. It's actually a safety issue for the country or a security issue for the country. So I'm putting forth a challenge openly as youngsters. What are you all going to do to fix this issue? Okay? So I'm going to bring in another small dimension, not a small dimension, another dimension. You all have heard of industrial revolutions, right? The first industrial revolution used steam to automate stuff. The second industrial revolution used electricity. The third industrial revolution used IT. That's when we made a lot of money and India progressed. The fourth industrial revolution is going to be based on AI. That's going to replace a knowledge work which fed India during the third revolution. Okay. We missed the first and second revolution. Third revolution we were able to leverage because we could speak English and we were logical. We can solve any problems. And that's going to be taken away by AI. What are we going to do? Do you know what happened in first and second revolution? What almost vanished Indian textile industry? Everything was automated. Handlooms were not there anymore. Our handlooms, uh, clothes produced by handlooms were much more costlier than the machine made textile, right? Not just that, an infrastructure improvement happened during that time. Railways was invented, man made textiles took longer time to reach the villages. The machine made textiles could reach the villages in no time. Okay. And of course, the last point which talks about tax, etc., that's okay. That time we had British government, now we have Indian government. Irrespective of the parties, it is still Indian government, right? So leave that aside. The same thing is happening now. You all would have read that there is a AI based developer released Devin, right? Devin a few weeks back. It can write code, it can write programs, it can solve complex programs, it can create a website in 2 days. Okay? I'm talking about a complex corporate website. I'm not talking about a blogger site. Blogger site, even I can create in 30 minutes. But a complex corporate website like McKinsey.com or Amazon.com, that can be produced by a machine in 2 days, which would have otherwise taken 2 years. I was with McKinsey before I started my company last year. There is a 80-member team which is upholding McKinsey.com site. Think of those people. What will happen to them? Do we need them anymore? That's just one example, right? So those of you who are researchers, you may be thinking, okay, that is only for developers. I am a researcher. I am not touched, right? What do you think? You heard Muthu speaking yesterday, you heard Gerard speaking yesterday, and they both gave a lot of inputs about how it is used in research automation. Do you recollect anything? No? Gerard talked about product twins, right, in pharma. So, so creating a all new product in pharmaceutical industry means research, right? So that is automated. Literature review. How many of you are doing PhD or have done PhD? How long did you take for doing your lit review? The horrible, horrible lit review. Your professors hated you and you hated your professors during that period. 2 years? 1 year? 6 months? 1 year. And it can be done in a couple of days by AI. That Endran movie, that Chitti Robo used to read all books in overnight and then help Aishwarya Rai, right? Something like that is really happening. Okay. So text summarization tools are helping. Hypothesis generation. We think, okay, critical thinking is only a human proprietary. Uh, Machines cannot do it. Not anymore. Right? So I just talked about the example. Not just in product identification, in fact, the entire chain of pharmaceuticals, AI is used. Okay, pharmaceutical industry is the few industries which involves research in almost every single phase of their life cycle. Till the time medicine is sunset, every single phase is using research quite a lot, right? large molecule structure inference and small molecule screening and things like that, chemical engineering, and that too very complex processes and practices like this is done much better than much better by AI than human beings. They can identify 50 times more accurately than a human being. So do we stand a chance as a researcher? Okay. So when I say research, it's not only in academic research, right? Product development uses a lot of research. The market research is done, user research is done, field study is done, and we also uh, um, use a lot of telemetry to understand the usage patterns of the users and so on and so forth. So 75% of the CEOs feel that AI is going to have a significant role in their research. Okay, so academic research is impacted, commercial research is impacted, and all steps of research is impacted. First, you start with literature review, then come up with a problem, then hypothesis. This can be done, and all of us know that AI can write a lot better than what we do, right? So how do we handle? So what do you want to do as a researcher? That's my question to you, all of you. Any thoughts from any of you? What do you observe? See, I don't want to make this session feel like, okay, we are doomed. We are not. Okay. AI is a tool that can be used by us if we use it carefully. When fire was invented by someone very accidentally, okay, fire existed even before, but how to create fire by human beings, it was when it was invented, people would have got scared this way, right? Oh, it can burn down the entire forest and all of us will die, etc. Similarly, now we have a tool which is much more powerful than any other tool that existed before. Only if we know how to handle, it will not set our forest ablaze. We can use it for lighting our lamps. So, how do you think we can do it? Any thoughts from anyone? I'm going to pause here. I'm not going to talk for another couple of minutes before I hear from any one of you. Any reflections based on what you heard? I see a lot of curious, worried faces. I'm happy that my job is done for the day, but then my job is not fully done yet. Till we think of some solutions to it. Any thoughts from anyone? Can you pass around the mic? Anyone wants to share your thoughts? There is someone.
I think we can go on to multiple domains, like a researcher who, like on specific term based on a researcher, like someone who is in computer science, he can actually move into bioinformatics. He can go on to other problems very quickly and maybe give out better results. Only on point of a researcher.
Multidisciplinary research, you mean?
Yes, sure. So
Okay.
the research domain will shrink as such. The number of people will be less. People who have that kind of inclination will do better
Mhm,
in using those tools.
mhm,
Similarly, if you have a good eye for UI, You will be using the UI generation tools better. You will be able to create maybe from websites to movies, anything that serves maybe your inclination. You can go on to.
You've heard of Sora and
Yes, yes,
Suno and
yes,
all,
yes,
right?
yes. So everyone doesn't need to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a good eye for visuals, you can do anything from creating a website to creating a movie.
Yeah.
But earlier it was not possible. Like someone who does a website, he'll be limited to doing a website.
Yep.
Maybe he could do an app. Now he could go from doing a website to doing a movie. So
Exactly.
his domain and his reach is like multiplied 100 times.
Yeah. So if I can summarize, correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
So if you learn more AI tools and if you also learn more and more domains, if you increase your breadth of knowledge, then you will be able to leverage the right tools for solving the right problems. Definitely, this has a chance. I mean, of course, AI tools, they have access to almost all knowledge produced by anyone in the world sitting in a form of a website, right? So they are able to access that. However, still there is some part left to us where we can do better human interaction. We can collect information from people and put it to frame it as a good problem, which is not possible by AI as I speak now, or at least as I have read as of now. I'm very, very conscious or cautious about making any statement about what kind of tools are available in AI, because as we speak, something comes in, right? So, as of now, um, problem solving and human interactions and emotional intelligence, these are the areas that are still with us. However, AI is still, I mean, even in the text to voice, now the automation tools, they can even do stuttering. Like how when I was speaking, I was thinking and I was hesitating, I was giving a pause here and there. AI tools can mimic me. They can do even better than me, probably, right? Because that's a rehearsed program. For me, when I stutter, when I think of a word, when I use the word like, etc., that comes natural, right? But coming back to your point, okay, if you learn multiple domains and if you collaborate with more human beings and take their knowledge as well and use AI tools, and you can go places. That's what you're suggesting. Okay, good. Thank you. Anything else from anyone? Have you seen anything like this before? The researcher development framework, which was created sometime in 2011. I'm sorry, it is not readable. I'm going to show you sections of this. Can you read it now? There are 4 segments in the researcher development framework. The first segment talks about knowledge and intellectual abilities, which includes your subject knowledge and your cognitive abilities and your creativity. Okay? So, this is the first set of skills a researcher should have. And the second set of skills is personal effectiveness. Are you able to manage your time properly? How professional are you? How are you managing yourself as an individual? And your personal qualities like enthusiasm, motivation, etc. The third dimension is research strategy, um, and how good are you able to manage your funding, resources, etc. And how are you able to conduct yourself professionally, about your research ethics and your integrity, etc. How do you give credit for other people, etc. That's the third dimension. The fourth dimension, the most important dimension in my view, is because all the other 3 areas we have done a very good job as Indians. This is creating an impact on the society. Communicating and dissemination. See, dissemination is not just presenting a paper in a conference, right? It is connecting with with common public and making them understand what does it mean. I don't know how many of you watched a video which did a lot of rounds in the recent past, which said if you drink mango juice continuously, your diabetic will go away. Okay. I don't know the authenticity of the research, but then it talked about how, I mean, the research output of somebody's research reached social media. What are all you doing about your research outputs? You published papers in a highly reputable scientific journals, and it is read by just 2% of the world population, and no one else knows that something like that exists. And you have a beautiful hardware lab here. A lot of inventions come out of here. And how can we take it back to the society and make it useful for people? That's the question I'm putting forth in front of you, right? So that's the communication and dissemination part, and working with others. I think that's what you were referring to. How can we have multidisciplinary research leveraging AI or any other technology, right? So working with multiple people in a team needs a lot of skills. Are you a team player? How collegial you are? How open are you to ask for help? How willing are you to give help, and so on, right? I'm going to share this slide deck with the organizers and they can share it with you. So you will have access to these skill set. So my recommendation to all of you as researchers, irrespective of whether you are a developer researcher or a researcher, please have a look at it and see what skills you can improve. In the advent of AI, information seeking, AI does better than us. So you don't have to spend 1 year doing your literature review. How can you write proper prompts for AI tools to get the right literature for you? And believe me, AI tools are not going to give you 100% accurate response, right? Information. The AI experts in the last row, they can tell you how to understand the accuracy of the data that is brought in, right? It's not very accurate. So as experts in your respective fields, you should know how to tweak your prompts so that AI tools get you the right information, and you should be able to validate whether the information given by the AI tool is really right or not, right? So please increase your skill in that area. For that, you need to be a real expert in whatever you do. There is no compromise about that. So please pass on this information to your juniors or your colleagues who are not here and ask them to remember the responsibility that is on their shoulders. Yeah. So here are some recommendations from me on what you can do. So I just talked about this. See, this is another thing I'm seeing. Many people who are doing their research in AI or big data area, their research methodology is really, really, I don't want to use the word poor, so I'm saying suboptimal. There are lot of good research methodology that is applicable to very open-ended research like AI or big data analytics, right? In ethnography, how many of you have heard research methods called ethnography? Ethnography is used extensively in social studies, where you go observe what's happening, and based on your observations, you may decide some part of the data to be included, some part to be excluded. The same thing you do in data analytics also, right? So you remove some data points if it is too much of an outlier, and so on, right? So ethnography is also belittled for its human intervention in the research methodology. But that field has evolved quite a bit now. And there are good controls put in place to prove the credibility of the ethnography research. So please use similar techniques when you are doing data analytics based research. And you can use design science research, which has been in the industry, which has been in academia since 1940, but not very popular, okay, which makes you validate every single assumption in a shorter time frame. In AI tools, you are not waiting for ever to validate whether your assumption is right or not. Assumption is nothing but your hypothesis, isn't it? So validating a hypothesis, how can you do in a shorter time frame with better scientific analysis is available in DSR and similar research methodology. Please use them, okay, so that your research gains that credibility. And this is a beautiful point. I don't know how many of you use randomized control studies still for your research. Anybody? Randomized control study where a group of people are given an opportunity to participate in a research, the other group is not given an opportunity to participate. So either ways it is a problem in a pharmaceutical study, right? In a drug analysis, if a medicine is given only to a set of people, they are put into risk in one point of view. At the same time, they are given a privilege from another point of view, right? The other people are not able to do. So instead, we can make it available to anyone who is interested in participating in that study, then match them. See, earlier we didn't have the, of course, propensity score matching is a statistical method that was existing way long back. But we have tools which can do that very easily today, right? You can make use of that and make research more inclusive and make research more accessible and available to a lot of different people. You can do that. And this is my humble request, the last one. Please don't stop after publishing a paper in a scientific journal. That's needed for getting your degree, but that's not the end goal. Your end goal is bringing a change in the world, okay? Either as a startup or as a patent or both, right? Even better if you can actually communicate the knowledge that is gained from your research to common public and make them or enable them to leverage that knowledge. That's my humble request to all of you. With that, I will end my talk and request for your thoughts and questions. Either I scared you too much that you are not able to speak, or no information went in.
One question, ma'am. Still, the huge part of the research is in hands of big corporations, right? Particularly AI. So even if you can see on the hardware side, they have purchased for the next 5 years. So the smaller parties, they can't actually even join the research for any kind of new models or something. So like how is it going to be democratized if anything is there?
That's a very good question. See, that's not only in the hardware side, even pharmaceutical companies and uh, manufacturing aspects, etc. Right? They are still with very big organizations who are already established, and others don't get to participate in such things. So that's where the entities like ICFOSS, right, that enable some of the technology that would not have been available to a an individual researcher available. That's where they play a role. Governments of different states are waking up now, and they are setting up innovation labs like this. And I'm also noticing that many universities are propagating tech uptake programs. They are even appointing tech uptake directors who are responsible for connecting the research that's happening in the university to uh, the industry, and also catering to the research needs of industry with the help of researchers in university, right? The private public partnership that is happening. So that is an attempt to break this a little bit at least, but it is still not solving that problem. Capitalism is still uh, standing in the way of democratizing many of these things, unfortunately.
Eventually, we are supposed to only use
Sorry.
eventually we are just used to using the products that they give us.
That is happening, and whenever you use a free product, that's not the product and you are the product. Okay. How many free products do we use? All communication channels which we use are free. WhatsApp, Facebook, Google, Gmail. Think of any tool that you are using. And we, in fact, search for free online tools, right? So when you say, yeah, free, I'm sharing my data. I'm sharing my not just my credentials, not just my identity, but I'm also sharing the data which I used, which I yearned after a lot of hard work, right? So
So if on the on like on the perspective of a startup point of view, like what is there to solve in the coming years?
okay, see, okay, if you are thinking, there are three different levels you can think of, right? Any idea that you have, how can you use that for accelerating some processes or some aspect of an existing company, right? So that is one of the easier ways to do. That will happen if you are uh, creating a services organization, right? So you will serve giants like Microsoft or IBM or Ford or any of these companies. They are struggling with one particular problem. You accelerate that by your inventions. The other aspect could be you create a product and then market it. Okay. So if we take AI as an example, right? Um, you can create AI based products, like the video creation tool that came, I'm forgetting them, Suno, right? Suno is music creation. Sorry. So like that, you can create tools, and that's going to take a very long time. And again, you have to check whether people are interested in such a tool, right? So for that, I think in yesterday's conversation, Muthu was talking about the psychology of human beings. How do you assess the psychology of human beings and create a product that will quench that psychological need? Facebook, for example, we used to have thinnai, right? And our tea kada, in the tea shops, there used to be benches where people used to sit and talk. When we were all globally spread, we still needed that tea kada bench, right? That's what Facebook is replacing. So think of a human need that will be served by technology, okay? And you can create a product or serve an existing company to accelerate their performance. So these are two possible ways I can think of. There could be many more. In the afternoon, we will have conversations about that. Any other questions? I see silence from the researchers. What do you think? How are you going to act? See, I'm not even worried about you asking me questions, right? I want all of you to answer just one question only. In the next 30 days, what are you going to initiate to address this issue? Fourth industrial revolution is happening as we speak. India, who took a big ride in the third industrial revolution, has a potential to be affected. Okay, we are still not affected. We have a lot of AI engineers in our country, so we will still survive a little bit. But every walk of life is going to be affected. So what are you going to do as an individual? If you can answer that question, I'll be grateful. My 40 minutes of my life would have been spent in a worth or in an important cause. That's how I would consider.
Learn how to use AI tools properly. AI will not replace us, but we replace the people who knows AI tools or how use it properly.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Learn how to use AI tools to accelerate your own performance, improve your own performance. Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
I want to ask you a question on
Yes.
creativity.
Creativity.
Yeah, leveraging these AI tools can reduce our creativity, right? It's making it so easy to use these
Yeah.
tools for.
It can reduce, but it can also enhance. When calculators were found initially, people said our ability to um, multiply will come down. Multiply, divide, and do the basic mathematical operations will come down. We are seeing the evidence of it. At the start of this session, I asked you all, okay, in 1947 we became independent, and how old are we as an independent nation? I didn't get an answer at all. Right? That's the level of our reduction in mathematical ability. However, that bandwidth of our brain, we were able to use for other purposes. We let the smaller calculation to the calculators and computers, and we were able to use that part of our brain for writing complex programs, right? So it is up to us, how do we use the bandwidth of our brain, right? So if chat GPT can write a poem on anything under the sun, how do you use it? How do you use your brain to do something else more powerful than that?
There are new things coming out.
New things coming out, right? So one of the McKinsey studies, it talks about 12 million more jobs in next 5 years. 12 million more jobs. It's not it's not going to be the same jobs, okay? Today's jobs may completely go away, but overall 12 million more jobs are expected to be here.
There are ethical committees on these AI systems. Many companies need people who ethically evaluate this, how it affects the people and all those things. And there are people who promote security, improve security of these LLMs. There are many ways you can change these LLMs and provide unwanted and parliamentary results.
That
For
is
the,
true.
yeah,
Ethics, I think ethics or lack of it is affecting us really really badly. Even existing organizations, their lack of ethics is affecting us in a huge way. Think of all gaming platforms today. They all want your time to be spent on those gaming platforms. So that's a very simple unethical expectation, right? A human being is not born for just gaming. Of course, entertainment is important, but not, we don't live for entertainment, right? Is it already time? Okay. So we can continue our conversation during the panel discussion, but I'll just close with one thought. So as an individual, you have the responsibility towards ethics. So think of what you will stand for and stand for it till end. Okay. It may sound like a movie dialogue, but if we don't stand for ethics and integrity, we will easily fall for the same two things. We will be defeated by the same two things by big organization. So please uphold your ethics and integrity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an informative session. Next, we have two distinguished professionals, Mr. Ignacio Ordovas Pascal and Mr. Miguel Torres, joining us virtually.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, it is audible.
Sure.
It is with great pleasure that we welcome Mr. Ignacio Pascal, Associate Data Scientist at Cognizant United Kingdom. Mr. Pascal brings with him a wealth of knowledge and expertise in the field of data science, contributing significantly to the advancement of technology and innovation. As an associate data scientist, Mr. Pascal has demonstrated exceptional skill and dedication in leveraging data-driven insights to drive business growth and enhance operational efficiency. I also welcome Miguel Torres, who is the Senior Associate Data Scientist, Cognizant United Kingdom. In his role as Senior Associate Data Scientist, Mr. Torres Pota has consistently demonstrated his ability to drive impactful solutions that leverage the power of data. His dedication to excellence and his commitment to pushing the boundaries of data science make him a respected figure in the industry. I welcome both of you to take over the session.
You're on mute, Miguel.
Is it audible?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Nacho. So thank you for the introduction. Should we kick off now the presentation? Sure. Okay, I'll take that. I will take silence as a yes. So yeah, let me first start sharing my screen. Try screen. Okay, here it is. So yeah, first of all, it's a big pleasure being here with you guys. I think it's wonderful that we are sitting on the other side of the world and we are able to give you this presentation. So yeah, without further ado, let me talk about this topic that mainly Ignacio has been working on, and I'm just here as a supporter of him. Yeah, the idea is to share with you this topic about how we can enhance LLM's proficiency in specialized mathematical operations. So before jumping into into what we want to show you here, let us talk about us. Well, we are Miguel Torres. Let me rename my name here. I'm, as the introduction say, I'm a data scientist at Cognizant. I've been working at Cognizant for almost 3 years, and I joined at the same time as Nachan. It's been great, big pleasure working with him. And I work with different clients already, mainly from the pharmaceutical company industry, also from the railway sector. And right now I'm working in a client implementing computer vision and Gen AI solution. So I'm gonna let Ignacio introduce himself, and we will get soon into
Thank you very much. Well, my name is Ignacio Ordovas. I'm a data scientist from Madrid. My background is in academic research in the astrophysical field. That I have been a researcher in that area and conducting my PhD, but then I moved to the corporate world and I have landed at Cognizant, where I am working as a data scientist for many different clients in pharmaceutical company, insurance, economy of the ocean. And lately, I have been a practitioner in generative AI work. The last work that I am doing is creating a chatbot for a banking company in Spain. So nice to be here, sharing our experience in this area.
Yeah, thank you, Nacho. So yeah, let's jump into what a couple of lines in what we are gonna talk about here today, and what we are gonna share with you. So we are gonna start with some introductions on about Gen AI, how they work, how these powerful models they've been built, and then we are gonna discuss some of the challenges that they are facing. More specifically about mathematical operations. We are going to propose a solution about using agents and how we can make these LLMs a bit more reasoning as a better reasoning machines about using these tools, and then we'll conclude with some thoughts for you to have from this presentation, and from some things that we hope you will take from our presentation. So I don't think anyone can deny about how powerful the LLMs or how powerful generative AI it's been. So it's been around for more than a year, but all the models and everybody, and it was introduced to the open world with ChatGPT more than 1 year ago. And yeah, again, I don't think anyone can deny how powerful these models are. They are presented to us as an opportunity in many different industries, and it's also being disruptive in many different fields. However, we acknowledge that these new models, these large language models, LLMs, they face some challenges, and that's why we are here today. So before jumping into the challenges, we need to know that these models are probabilistic models, that what they do is simply taking the most likely token to be next. So based on some training data and the given input, they will predict what's the most likely output token. So with this in mind, it's not true that we can say that they are entities with reasoning capacity. And here we can see a very easy example that will make you understand how they work. So let's suppose that we train a large language model. It can be a GPT model, it can be Mistral, it can be Gemini. So they predict what's the what are the probabilities of the next word. So in a given phrase, such as my favorite food is, the large language model is gonna give us, it's gonna provide different solutions or different words, and these can be pizza, chicken, or rice. So my favorite food can be pizza, chicken, or rice. And with these different words, they bring different probabilities. So what it's just simply do is just take them the one with the highest probability to be next based on the given training data. In this case, the one with the highest probability is pizza. So the LLM, a normal LLM, will just answer to this. My favorite food is pizza. So having this in mind, we cannot say that again, and I'm going to repeat this. We cannot say that the LLMs are entities with reasoning capacity. So let's jump with this introduction. Let's jump and let's see why these LLMs are so powerful. And let's bring into the game transformers architectures. So before the transformer architectures were introduced, everybody was using recurrent neural networks, RNNs, and long short-term memory architectures, LSTMs. However, these two proposed architectures, they had a problem which is called vanishing gradient problem, which is that the longer the sentence or the longer the context is, the words or the tokens that are in the beginning of the phrase will lose importance. So the model couldn't say that, okay, this last word is related with the beginning of the phrase. And that's why some folks and some colleagues from Google, they proposed a paper called Attention is All You Need in 2017. If you haven't gone through this paper, I highly recommend you to read it, because it says the base and the foundations of what it's been, of all the Gen AI that's been built after this paper. So yeah, so recommendation
Sorry,
from
Miguel,
me.
can you click on slideshow to show it in
Yes,
presentation mode?
Yeah, sure. Now it's better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ignacio. So yeah, as I was saying, that as a recommendation from me to you is that you go through this paper, and I will make you another recommendation about later on. So what this paper and what this architecture propose? They propose different things, but mainly let's keep with two different things. The first one, it solves the vanishing gradient problem, which is that the word importance will not decay regardless to the distance to the word. And here to the right side of the slide, we have an example in which we can see that the eat word that is in the end of the phrase, it can know that it's referring to the animal which is in the beginning of the phrase. So we can let the model know how all the words are related to the rest of the phrase, and the model will not lose importance with what's happening in the beginning of the word. So yeah, very groundbreaking paper, and that solved the problem that I mentioned in the beginning. Another improvement that it brought, it was that it allowed parallelization, and it sped up computing times, making training and inference times much more smaller. So now let's see, because we also need to understand how these LLMs and these powerful models are built and how are trained. So they use a technique called self-supervised learning. It's a two-step process, and it's called self-supervised learning. The first one is that these models they've been trained with a huge very huge, large corpus of unlabeled data. And this can be Wikipedia data, books data, data taken from internet, so wherever you can think of, and it's just been given to the model without any label. It's able to set the weights of the neural network and in the attention model, so the model will understand the basic things. The second task, and a bit more important, it's the fine-tuning of a specific task. And we have to do this training, this second step, this fine-tuning. We have to do it using label data, and it's here where we bring we can say them we will make the model smart, and we will make it task agnostic. So doing this two-step process has been proven to outperform in most of the benchmarks. And yeah, the second paper that I want you to recommend you today is the this paper proposed by OpenAI. It's called Improving Language Understanding by Generative Pre-training. It sets them the basis of the next GPT models, and then the well-known GPT chat. So highly recommended to go through this paper. They explain how using these steps highly improves the accuracy of the model, and how they build on this. So yeah, with now having in mind that what are the transformer models and the attention mechanism, how LLMs are trained, we can jump into how good the LLMs are with mathematical operations. Given this, the way they work with the token, predicting the next token. It's been proven there by some colleagues that these LLMs, they perform poorly in mathematical operations. So we cannot rely on these models performing mathematical operations. So we need to apply some other techniques and solutions, and this is what Ignacio is going to show you today. Just a couple of more things here. We can see that for some operations, multiplication, even GPT-4, which is supposed to be a much more advanced model, performs very, very, very poorly. So yeah, we need to find a solution, and also most importantly, we cannot fully rely, and we need to acknowledge that they are not. We cannot use them. We cannot use them for everything. So now let's jump into a demo. I'm gonna perform some operations and try to make this presentation a bit more dynamic. So I'm gonna sharing my notebook. Let me know if you cannot see my Visual Studio Code notebook. I'm gonna initialize the LLMs. I'm gonna initialize two of them, one with GPT-4, which is the most powerful GPT model presented as of now, and then I will also initialize a GPT 3.5 turbo model. And then also I'm gonna run a simple mathematical operation, which is a division here. I'm gonna write some numbers here, and I'm gonna perform a division. So very, very long number, but a very simple operation, which is a division. So let's see if it works as expected. So we are going to perform this operation here, and we see that using Python, this mathematical operation, it's super fast, and it works. We know this is going to be the real result, and we can confidently say that this operation using Python is correct. So now let's run the same operation on a call to GPT 3.5. And let's call it iteratively in a sequence of 10 operations, and we are going to see how it performs. So we can see that in all the answers here, we are supposed to see this result, which is the correct one, and this is mathematical operation. It's wrong or right. So we can see that for all of them, the LLM is not able to predict a single correct one, and some of them are way off of the correct result. So yeah, how much should we rely on these models in operation in mathematical operations? But not only this, we can say that okay, but GPT-4 should be smarter. Let's see the same, and let's run the same operation using now this time calling GPT-4, and let's see what we have. So keeping in mind that the correct result was this one, I'm gonna write it here. We can see that GPT-4 it predicts first. Well, two things to keep in mind here. One is that it predicts different results at every iteration, and all of them, not a single one it's a correct result. So yeah, I'm not gonna continue talking about this, and I'm gonna let Ignacio talk about the solution that he proposed and how can make LLMs a bit more reasoning entities. So without further ado, Nacho, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to share the second part of the presentation. So okay, we can see it. In it. Okay, so one way to build a workaround of how to perform mathematical operation and also include the powerful natural language process ability of an LLM is to use Python agents. So let's say that we want to implement some computations that we need to compute for one industry. Maybe computing the price of a product based on different on different characteristics, or compute the price of an insurance given some particular aspects, etc. So we might need to extract some information from documents, etc. But for the computation, as Michael has shown, we cannot rely on that. But what we can do is to create Python code with those operations to run those in Python and use the LLM to extract the numbers from the prompt and which kind of parameters are there, and run this agent and obtain the result. So these agents normally we will code several Python agent tools to have different operation, and so for any of them, we will have for each of them a description. So the LLM, using that description and given the user prompt, will see which tool I need to use. That's going to be like an internal thinking. It's not reasoning, but it's like an emulated reasoning. So based on the user prompt, it will search which kind of tool it will be needed to complete the task that you are asking in the prompt. And then it will run the Python code with accurate computations. And the result from this tool will be converted to natural language to return to the user. That's the main idea of the Python agents tools. So what is the sequence of events of the tools? First, we begin with a user prompt, and it will begin the LLM to create a process that is called sort. So I would say, given the user prompt and having the different tools, which I have a description of them, what is the description that is most likely fit? So we can use that particular tool to run the user prompt. It will select the closest Python tool that we need to call and run it. That is the action phase. In the action phase, it will extract all the necessary information from the prompt, compute the mathematical operations of whatever we are putting inside the Python agent, and it will return an observation that is the output of the function. The observation will be sent again through a process of thought and say, we need to use another tool, or this is the final answer that we need to return to the user. This process will loop through the LLM, and when we have the final answer, it will be returned to the user. But it is better to use an applied example. Let's see a very simple mathematical operation. This is the problem statement. Consider the cost of production is this number. We also take into consideration that the markup percentage is 20% and the tax percentage is 10%. What is the cost of the product in euros? That is the unit that we are saying in the problem statement. Well, so this is the idea of how we will solve it. So the cost of production, we need to add the markup percentage and also the taxes. So it's a very simple mathematical operation, some sums and also some multiplications. So we will have for this particular example this quantity. That so in general the mathematical problem is going to be the following. We have a cost of production, a markup percentage, and a tax percentage, and these are the inputs that we will need to put to compute the answer that is what the user is requiring to have to compute. So, as Miguel has shown, let's try to do it simply with LLMs, with GPT 3.5 and GPT 4. This I have here some example in the slide, but I will show it right now also in live coding. But if you see, it finishes in 307 and 0.28, and you see that GPT 3.5 and GPT 4, all of them fails, and also fails by far. If we create a prompt that says, consider the cost of production is this number, consider the markup percentage is this, and the tax percentage. I even include in the prompt, please use this formula, so the LLM knows what the formula it needs to use. But if we put this in production and try to feed a database to produce the results, so we return the results, it's going to be failing a lot. Let's see in live. So this is the code. This is the example. This is the number that we were looking for, and this is with GPT 3.5, and also I will be running GPT 4 with temperature even 0. That should be low variance, the results are very off. I'm going to try with a higher temperature, just in case, but it will give more variance. Well, and GPT-4 is also failing. I will put it with higher temperature. Let's run it. We see that none of them is really giving us the answer. If in fact it is very different. So this using LLMs to compute this kind of answers is not really a solution. It will give the client or the company very off results. So this is not a solution. Let's continue. Even with online versions, and also try to put it in several steps. It can also compute it badly. But if the correct result is this one, maybe it will try to compute with another kind of formula. So there's variance also in how the LLMs could remember this kind of calculation. So we will need also to include the formulas. Also, online versions lately are very likely to also use tools. So we will see how it works with Python notebook and see the difference with just using LLMs. So this is the process of thought that we were saying, that using agents, we can say, consider the cost of production is this number, the markup percentage is this number, and task percentage is this. Could you compute the cost of the product? So given this, it will begin thinking. And this is the LLM what is going to do. I need to use this function to calculate the total price. And it will extract the information from the prompt, that is the cost of production, the markup percentage, and the tax percentage, and it will compute the number. And also it will say another thought. The result is in euros, but it has too many decimal places, so I will run it because you cannot have less than cents in euros. So it will run it, and after it is finished, there's another thought that says, I have everything. Now I can return the answer to the user. Let's see in code. This is so what I need to define is the tools that the LLM is able to use. So, for example, we have a conversion rate. So maybe we can the input is in dollars, is in Indian rupees, etc. So it will call an API to convert the currency to the problem that we are facing. We can define another kind of tool that, for example, a square root function that we are not going to use, a round function that maybe we are needed to use to round, and also the get total p, that is the function that is going to obtain the price. For all the tools, we will have a description in that is the doc string that will help the agent to see which kind of tool it will need to use. So we defined also we will put a description of all the tools to use them and see what kind of tool we need to use. This is how it is done in LangChain. And then we can create the chatbot using these tools. So let's see. This is the formula with the appropriate numbers. This is the cost of production. Markup percentage 0.2. The tax is 0.1. This should be the number. Let's run it. Okay, so you see how it is running the LLM to use different tools, and this is the process of the tools. First, the thought. I need to use a get total p function to calculate the total price. It will obtain the numbers from the prompt and compute the actual number. And you see that the number is exactly what we are expecting. Let's run it again and also run again the LLM just in case. So we can maybe use another linear serialization, but it will return also the same number. Let's put it more complicated. Let's say that the cost of production is in US dollars, the markup percentage is 0.2, and the tax percentage is 0.1. Let's see how it will think and which kind of agents will use. Okay, so first, they will call, I need to compute the total price, so it will use that tool, extract the appropriate information, and the computations are accurate. Now, I need to convert to the currency that we have in the problem that we are using. So it will use that function that it will convert the quantity from US dollars to euros. And you see that this is also a very interesting thing to use in tools. So it will use the actual price that is currently doing and not the conversion rate that it is trained on the LLM that could be from 1 year or more years ago. And finally, it will run it. So it will return that thing. And also, if you remember, we have also other function that is the square root. It will not need to do the square root of any currency. So it will, even that we define this tool, it will not use it. So this is because given the description, it is not necessary to run it. So that's how you can use Python tools to enhance your abilities for the LLM to compute accurate numbers. And this is the conclusions that we wanted to leave you, that leaving mathematical operation for the LLM, even the state-of-the-art ones, that the GPT-4, it's highly risky due to probability nature. So using these Python agents, we can combine the powerful natural language process of LLMs and the powerful mathematical operation of a computing language. So this will enhance the utility of generative AI in many industries. Thanks for attending, and if you have any questions, we are here to help.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm Shabir Ali, and I want to ask you about instead of or using this OpenAI ChatGPT 3 and ChatGPT 4, can we utilize open models like Llama 2 or any other latest models for this agent and all this prompt engineering?
Yes, in fact, you can instead of defining the LLM that we are using, that is the chat from OpenAI, you may substitute this part with other LLM that could be Gemini from Google or could be open sources LLM. But you need also to be careful on the online chain to be compatible with those tools. Maybe there are some of them that could be coded in a different way that could not run some options in LangChain. But it is and this kind of tools in LangChain are totally LLM agnostic.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ignacio and Miguel. We are truly privileged to have you both here today. I'm sure that the session has benefited all the data science aspirants as well as the professionals. So once again, thank you both.
Thank you very much for the invitation as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you.
You may leave now, sir. We'll have our panel discussion starting at 2 p.m. So you can now go for the lunch.